Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about the issue of the elections, post-elections. I'm going to discuss the issue of why many white expatriates um, turnout turnout was very high. Why they went outside to vote in large volumes or in large numbers. Why this time around there were so many white South Africans abroad who went out to vote, unlike many years ago where it was just a few white people. The reason is that many white South Africans abroad, they are living in abject poverty. So they left South Africa owing to the fact that they're going to live in luxuries, they're going to be accommodated. Abroad are not accommodated, especially in UK and America and Canada. Many people are not welcoming to poor white South Africans because they know that they are there to take opportunity that they have. So it's not easy. Another thing, the stereotype that attached to South African is that many South Africans are racist, although not all of them are racist, but abroad they are viewed as such. So this issue of the South African expat voting in large numbers, they thought maybe it will change the situation today so that in South Africa, so that they can be able to come back and contribute. And which is actually helped a little bit in the election, because now, as you can see, that the election for 2024 election, actually we've got a new directions whereby there've been a lot of changes. So that's some of those changes, as you've seen, long queue in London, some turn out in USA and Canada, Australia, New Zealand. So those are the indications that most of the people are longing to come back home, because abroad white South Africans are not wanted. Remember, many white South Africans are from the French background, Germans, English, and then but they don't see them as equal overseas. They see them as inferior whites, except those who have got money, who are billionaire. But ordinary white South Africans are seen as a ordinary. Some of their families in overseas, they go through a lot of things. If you look at it, if you've been to overseas, you know that the divorce, when they go overseas, they divorce because without income, it's not like Tina Bodaki, where you don't have money, a woman can still be with there, or you can just go. If you don't have money in the Western society, they run away from you. So that's why you find there's so much divorce for white South Africans, and then abroad. So they move together, they go there, they divorce overseas. One of the family will come back because there's no money. And another issue is different overseas, like in South Africa. It's very expensive to live abroad. So you can only sustain for, if you've got money from South Africa, you are taking it overseas. You can only use it for short term because the standard of living is much higher. Things are much expensive that side. Another thing is stereotype. When you're looking for a job, expectation is that you come from South Africa, you are those people who treat others as a servants, because this is a stereotype that South African white people, they treat anybody as their servants because they come from apartheid South Africa, where black were subordinate. So those people are facing a lot of challenges. And then another issue, they cannot be integrated into Western societies because they are not Europeans. They are European by color, but culturally are not white South African are not Europeans, including those from Rhodesia or Mozambique. They actually struggle abroad, to be if they go at the adult, maybe over the age of 20s, they go through a lot of things. But when they go there at the young stage, it's easy to change their mind. Another thing was the cultural difference, like languages, accent. If somebody identified their accent, they started to treat them differently. Another issue is that many countries, these big countries, are investing in South Africa, so they're doing business with this black government. So they also try by all means to create impression that they are better than South African whites, which means that most white South Africans who go overseas, they have to go through a lot of things, Like I said, the poverty is actually one that drives them to vote in large numbers abroad. Many are not living in luxuries. You can go out everywhere, you ask white people, they'll tell you that you ask white people, but few of them, those who are super rich, are few of them. Majority of them are actually, they're struggling. It's hand to mouth. Even dating, their relationship, you find that most the guy will marry a wife here in South Africa, they go abroad, they separate abroad when they go abroad. For survival, you find men will try to marry a woman from Canada to survive. Whereas females, if they are old, it's not easy to marry an old woman from South Africa to stay with them there, unless that lady has a steady income. I'm referring to it by the whites. So Western society is about money or stuff like that. It's not easy for them. That's another issue that makes it difficult. for them to actually survive abroad. So these expatriate, they've done a lot, although they actually, we can learn a lot, many countries can learn from this, initiative where South African go out in large number to change the situation. But the question that we actually still need to ask yourself, is this going to be effective, or to bring them back? Because if you look at these countries, they don't need migrant anymore, whether they are South Africans, or whatever, East Europeans. Imagine if they don't want East European countries. What about South Africa? And the worst part is that these big countries, they've got what's called digital nomads, are coming to South Africa to unsettle South Africans. They don't want them overseas. Those guys are also coming to South Africa to compete with them again. So we're going to see a lot of things about here. So we'll see who's going to win it between South African whites and those from overseas, because overseas, they don't want them there. And those white from overseas are coming to South Africa as a digital nomads. So they pay rent here because they can't live overseas. Life is very expensive abroad, guys. You don't know these things. Rent is very expensive, but here in South Africa, it's still affordable. Another thing is dating. European people, they go for date. They share. They spill the bill. Abroad, yeah. It's even the Uber. When they call Uber or transport, they spill it. You have to pay off. So some white people are used to be like, a boyfriend will pay a lot of things. There overseas, not like that. Another thing is that because many people who might have an overseas, you find yourself, you are living in the neighborhood where there are blacks, and you are not used to live with black people from South Africa. You don't know black people. Some of those white girls or Asian or Chinese or whatever, let me call them Chinese, Latinos, their boyfriend are black people. They are benefiting. They are social justice warriors. They are benefiting from these things of multiculturalism. How are you going to stay with those guys? You have to share a room with them. Imagine you come from South Africa, you come from these traditional conservative Africana countries, whatever. You find yourself in UK, you're going to share your room with the British ladies. Your boyfriend is a black. How are you going to be that? Or you are going to live with that people? You can see that already you can't fit in that areas. Or you find yourself going to work in that environment where everything is about rice, because they always remind you that you are not from their countries. You are not from UK. You are not born in America. You're not born in Canada. You have rice in South Africa. Those are the stereotypes that many people have to go through. A lot of things. That's what drives them to go and vote, owing to the fact that maybe they can change the situation. When they come back, they'll be accommodated. The fact is that many white South Africans are going through a lot of things abroad. They didn't expect that they will be treated like that. Some of them, they lost so much money, leaving South Africa, thought maybe they're going to change their life, only to find that those countries like Australia, US, Canada, UK are not that welcoming as they thought, because culturally they're not European. They were born in Africa. They are not used to them. So another thing is that life that side abroad is more like people use public transport to save money. Life is very expensive, yeah. You find that you have to live and travel with black, and then which they are not used to there, And then the moment you just explain that you're from South Africa, the issue of the stereotype of like, this is South African white, they've done this. Another issue is the job market. Jobs are very scarce unless you have been invited. You got offer before you leave. If you just go there without offer, thinking that you're going to get something there, it's going to be easy. It's just going to be hand to mouth. Because of these things of the current migration crisis all over the world, things are no longer like before, when people could